Hey everybody, this is Peter with Tabletop Gaming Guild, and today we will be perusing our way through the PDF version of the Avatar Legends, the role-playing game core rulebook, to learn a little bit about the game and how it is played. The book is broken into 10 chapters and 2 sections. Chapters 1 through 7, or Section 1, contains information that is for the players and the Game Master. And then chapters 8 through 10, or Section 2, contains information specifically for the Game Master. This video will be looking specifically at chapters 1 through 7, but I will give a very brief summary of chapters 8 through 10 as well. Let's go ahead now and jump to chapter 1. So there are loads of different types of tabletop role-playing games out there, some focusing heavily on story over combat and vice versa. Others allow you to choose what type of character you embody. Will you be good or evil, fight for others or a cause, or just look out for number one and loot all the treasure you can find? Specifically in Avatar Legends, the role-playing game, you play one of the many heroes of the Four Nations. Your goal is to protect the world from harm and stand up for those without the power to stand up for themselves. You fight on the side of what is right, even if that is the most difficult path to take. And you understand that to achieve peace, there must be balance in all things. Now, so like it says there, Avatar Legends is all about being a hero, which should not be a huge surprise to fans of the Avatarverse, which I would guess will probably be the majority of people who choose to play this game. Avatar Legends takes place in the Avatarverse, a universe that contains multiple television shows, movies, books, graphic novels, etc. It is a well-loved world containing lots of lore for Game Masters to pull from in order to run the game. But the Game Master is not on their own. They have their players to help them set up the game. Each party starts the game by choosing which era within the Avatarverse they wish to play in. The Kyoshi era, the Roku era, the 100-Year War era, the Aang era, or the Korra era. And this will help determine the state of the world in which the heroes find themselves. Next, Chapter 1 gives us a quick summary of the four nations which populate the world. There's the Earth Kingdom, the Fire Nation, the Air Nomads, and the Water Tribes. It also summarizes the 6 different types of trainings available to the players: water bending, earth bending, fire bending, air bending, weapons, and technology. Chapter 1 then finishes by telling players what they will need in order to play the game: friends, a quiet place, 2 6-sided dice, pencils and paper, and play materials. The play materials are free to download playbooks and worksheets that the players will need to print out and have available at the table. Chapter 2 is huge. It's 76 pages of history and lore for the players to pore over. The information in this chapter will be very helpful for the Game Master when they begin to put together the game they will run for the other players. The chapter begins with some history about the Avatar and then continues with a couple of pages for each of the 4 kingdoms and their main locations. The rest of the chapter goes into great detail about the 5 eras in which the players can choose to play. Let's look at the next few pages closely to see how each era is broken down. So each era is broken down into 5 sections. Where we start, which is giving us the information about the era in which we find ourselves and some of the events leading up to that era. Next, we get a section on the avatar of that era themselves, information about them and some of the things that they have done and their standing among the people. We're also then given a very nice breakdown of significant themes of that era. So here specifically we're seeing the Kyoshi era, and we're seeing some themes of justice and revenge, betrayal and loyalty, abuse of authority, loss and abandonment, law and order, and harmony without and turmoil within. So some significant themes, and underneath each theme are some GM moves, things that the Game Master can do focusing on those themes. There's also sections on important events that took place during that time period, that era. And then there are also, broken down for each of these eras, sections on each of the 4 nations. Some of the notable figures and groups, threats and challenges that faced each of those nations during that era. And we have a section just like that for each era that's available for the players to choose from for their game. Chapter 3 moves away from the lore of the world and gets into what it is actually like to play a game of Avatar Legends. It does a great job of explaining how best to set up a scene for all of the players to play out, how to keep the conversation going between players to move the scene forward, and how players can use their characters' actions known as moves, which may rely upon dice rolls to determine their outcome, to interact with the scene and the NPCs. In Avatar Legends, dice are only rolled if a move says that a dice roll is needed to determine the outcome. When a dice roll is called for, the player will roll 2 6-sided dice and add their results together. A result of 6 or less is considered a miss or failure, and a result of 7 or more is considered a hit or success. Hits are then also divided into weak hits or strong hits. A result of 7 to 9 is considered a weak hit, and a result of 10 to 12 is considered a strong hit. Moves are further explained in Chapter 5. Chapter 3 is not only full of explanations of how this all happens, but it is also full of narrative examples of play, which I find to be super helpful in understanding how things actually take place at the table. You will want to take time reading through these examples, as they will help bring the game mechanics to life. The chapter ends with a 2-page section called Starting a Game. It does a nice job of summarizing what the game is about, and I would recommend sharing these pages with all of your potential players, especially the subsection entitled Setting Expectations. It will help potential players decide if this might be a game they are interested in playing or not. Chapter 4 is all about making your player characters, but first your group will need to set up your game. You will choose the era in which you wish to play, the scope of your adventure, whether it's kingdom-wide or city-wide. You will choose a group focus. What is it that your group is trying to do? Defeat someone or rescue someone, deliver something to a place or person, etc. And once you have your group focus, you will outline the inciting incident. This is a mechanic to help you set the stage for your game session. Now, after these steps are completed, it is time to create your hero, and each player chooses a playbook, the outline of a character archetype. There are 10 to choose from, and they are listed on page 112, with a short description of each one. It is important that each player choose a different playbook. Each playbook is laid out in full in Chapter 6 of the core rulebook. They are also provided as free downloads at magpiegames.com/avatarrpg. These should be printed out and made available to the players to look through when making their characters. Once each player has their playbook, they can carry on creating their character, choosing a name, their nation, what kind of training and fighting style they have, their background, their looks, and so much more. You will make connections between your characters and NPCs that are important to their pasts. Chapter 5 introduces the moves or actions that your characters will use throughout the game to help move the story forward. There are 7 basic moves that are available to every player. They are Assess the Situation, Guide and Comfort, Intimidate, Plead, Push Your Luck, Rely on Your Skills and Training, and Trick. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at Trick. Here on page 135, we see a blue box that describes succinctly what Trick does. When you trick an NPC, roll with creativity. On a hit, they fall for it and you do what you want for the moment. On a 7 to 9, you pick one of the following, and on a 10 plus, you pick 2 of the following. The 3 options are: they stumble, take +1 forward to acting against them; they act foolishly, the GM tells you what additional opportunity they give you; or they overcommit, they are deceived for some time. So you can see there how you choose a move, choose to trick. You're going to roll some dice to see if you hit or miss, and if you hit, you have two options there for a weak hit for the 7 to 9 or a strong hit for the 10 to 12. Beyond the 7 basic moves, there are balance moves and advancement moves which are available to every player. There are also playbook moves which are only available to a character with that playbook. And there are combat moves. As the players and Game Master describe what is happening to the characters in the game, moves will be triggered. The results of those moves drive the story forward, and not all actions taken by the players will trigger a move. But when it does, consult the move, roll the dice if the move says to, and see what happens. Now, I'm not going to go into them all now, but there are also rules on pages 146 through 157 for running combat exchanges. The book once again contains another great bit of narrative on pages 159 to 161, which does a good job of bringing these rules all to life. Chapter 6 is all of the playbooks that the players have to choose from, and again, there are 10 base playbooks here in Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. So whenever you're choosing, you're going to choose between the Adamant, the Bold, the Guardian, the Hammer, the Icon, the Idealist, the Pillar, the Prodigy, the Rogue, or the Successor. Each one of them has the playbook, and again, you're going to want to have these printed out ahead of time so that as the players are looking through them, they can see the awesome art that is provided for each one of these, as well as some information about the starting stats, the demeanor options that they have for this character, the history questions that they're going to need to answer, and then you just get some more information about the archetype here that you have, the playbook, to help them choose which is the type of archetype they really wish to play here. In a lot of other games, role-playing games, you might have heard of classes. So this is the kind of the variation on class that is available within Avatar Legends. So each player will choose their playbook, and again, you want to make sure that each player for your game is choosing a different playbook. That way you don't have two playbooks that are the same in your game. Making sure that every character is individual. And you're going to be using these playbooks as you go throughout the game, reading information about them, and choosing some moves that are, again, specific to just that playbook. Chapter 7 discusses how characters in Avatar Legends can advance and grow their skills and abilities, and this is called the growth move. Let's go ahead and read the blue box under the growth move on page 208. At the end of each session, each player answers the following questions. Did you learn something challenging, exciting, or complicated about the world? Did you stop a dangerous threat or solve a community problem? Did you guide a character towards balance or end the session at your center? Each player also answers their playbook's unique personal growth question. For each yes, mark growth, and when you have marked for growth, you can take a growth advancement. When you earn your growth advancement, you will have multiple options for that. You can take a new move from your playbook or possibly from another playbook. You can raise a stat by +1. You can shift your center one step, or you can unlock your moment of balance. Each of these are further discussed here in the rulebook. Besides those, you do also have the opportunity of taking some advanced techniques, and this is going to be helping you in your combat if that's something that you're wanting to focus on. And again, there are more rules for that. So there are multiple ways of advancing your character onward in their growth. So that is everything that you need to know from the book if you're just going to be a player in Avatar Legends. But if you're hoping to be the game master for your group, you're going to have 3 more chapters that you can take a look at. Chapter 8 is all about running the game. Chapter 9 is all about running seasons and campaigns, continuing your adventures for longer. And then Chapter 10 is specifically about running adventures. Beyond that, we do have a couple appendices here at the end of the book. There's an Appendix A, which is all about the techniques in the game. And then Appendix B is all about NPCs, some of the NPCs that you might see. We have Kyoshi. We have a page here on Roku, General Iroh, Aang, and Korra. And then the book finishes off with just Appendix C with a bunch of play materials. These are things that you're going to want to have printed off and available for you at the table. It breaks down your basic moves, your balance moves. It has here your growth questions and ways to clearing conditions. It has a nice breakdown of the combat exchanges, which again, we didn't really go through here in this video, but it is in the book about how to run those combats, and you have this nice handout as well for that. You have a campaign creation worksheet, which would be great for the Game Master and the players to fill out as they go through all of that, showing you your group's focus, the era that you have chosen, the scope that you have chosen. It has the outline for your inciting incident, as well as a space for any allies or enemies that you may have as well. And then there is a handout as well for the Game Master reference sheet, which breaks down a whole bunch of other stuff from the Game Master's section of the book. And then we have some information here as well for NPCs and training inspiration. There's name lists available as well. And then the book finishes off with the index. Well, everybody, that is everything for Avatar Legends, the role-playing game. It was a quick run-through of the book itself. I think that this is a really cool game to bring to your table. If you've played any other games that are built upon the skeleton of Powered by the Apocalypse, some of this will definitely look familiar, as that is the skeleton that this game was built upon. But I hope, everybody, that you enjoyed this video. If you are a lover of Avatar, I would love to hear your comments in this video, because I'd love to know if you have played this game, if you're wanting to play the game at all, if you're excited about it, and if you are you somebody who's wanting to just play in the game, or are you wanting to be a game master, and why? What is it about Avatar that you love so much? And I'm really excited to see those comments. So everybody, thank you for watching. I hope the video helped. If it did, give it a like or subscribe. Definitely go out and pick up a copy of this PDF or the physical copy of the book if you can, if that's something that you're interested in. And everybody, thank you for watching, and until we talk again, keep on playing games.